Hello, 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 hello. A new video and a new setting. A friend said to me, you're like Paddington Bear moving, which is true. This is another flat that I'm in Lisbon, and it's very bright, so I like it. It's very minimal. Anyway, you came to join me here not for my flat tours. So in this video, I really want to talk about Lisbon as a digital nomad. Lisbon is probably followed by, or maybe before, Chiang Mai, one of the most popular cities for digital nomads. I said to myself, I've got to go and check it out. I've heard a lot of great things about it. The expectations were pretty high when I arrived, and I have done almost 3 months here. Now, I'll be honest, I would say Lisbon has very much been a slow burn love. When I arrived mid-February, and I wasn't really feeling it. And I think there were a couple of reasons for this before you think, oh my gosh, this isn't the place for me to go to. Firstly, I wasn't really in the city centre. I was in Algiers, which is a little bit further out. Secondly, it was quite cold then. I mean, for European standards, it was cold. If I think about London, it was probably warm. And I had come from Chiang Mai, which was beautiful, very warm. And so I kind of really wasn't feeling it in my first few weeks here. I hadn't also met many people, hadn't really tapped into the nomad community. But fast forward to now, and I can say it's a brilliant city, and it just feels really natural to be here. Everything's pretty easy here. Everyone speaks English. It's easy to get around. My apartment now is much more central, which is great. Met some really good people here too. So I would say it's been a slow burn love. It hasn't been something where I instantly came in and I was like, I love this city, but it's definitely a gorgeous city and has grown on me the longer that I have been here. So in this video, I want to talk to you about some of my first impressions. I want to talk to you about the nomad community here. I want to talk about co-working spaces, attractions and what you can see outside of Lisbon, the weather, all of that good stuff. What is it like working here remotely? Well, this video will hopefully give you a little bit of an insight into that. So I guess my first impressions of the city, it's very well connected. So you can get a travel card. It's really good, actually. You can get a travel card for about 30 euros a month, unlimited travel on metro, buses, tram, train. Really, really good. Everything is very easy to get to, particularly if you're in the centre, so really well connected city. It is a hilly city though. So when you're walking around, typically, and I remember seeing a meme on this, it's like, oh, shall we go for dinner in Lisbon? It's like, yeah, let's go. And then it's like 5 minutes later, because it is very hilly and you do have to walk up a lot of hills, but it keeps you fit, I must say that. I would say another first impression I had was it's much bigger than I thought. Maybe I was expecting something a little bit like Valencia, but it felt like the European London. Obviously, it's not as big and as connected and as kind of metropolitan as London, but it still was more urban than I was expecting. And what's really interesting is because Lisbon has been such a hub for expats and nomads in the last few years, the cost of living has really gone up here. So rent prices are crazy in the centre. So it's really like London. You're thinking for a 1-bedroom flat in the centre, probably about 2,500 euros, 2,000 euros if you're lucky. Food prices are fine, but I wouldn't say it's one of the cheapest European cities, and particularly the rent prices have skyrocketed in the last few years because of everyone like me coming here, so make of that what you will. Good thing is everyone speaks English here, so I've had no problem with getting around, no problem with meeting people, speaking to locals. English is very, very, very much used here by the locals and obviously the expat nomad community, which brings me onto the community itself. So Lisbon is probably, I would say, the city that has most meetups, groups, entrepreneurs, painters, anything you can think of. If you want to find a community here, you will probably find your community here. Now, if that's something important to you, then Lisbon is a great place to go to. I remember going to an event which was singing in Lisbon, which was great. I met a couple of my friends there. Been to the Nomad nights. I have been to an event called Prologue Talks, which was like a debating and presenting event. Really, really great place for meeting people. And also I would say that the entrepreneurial business community is strong here. Obviously Lisbon is, a very good hub for business and entrepreneurism and companies generally. Also the time zone is the exact same as London, which has been very helpful for me working. But I would say it's a great place to find people and to feel connected. If you want to go out and mingle and meet people, you can do it. It's not like somewhere where it's a little bit tricky to find those people around you. You can find them. So co-working spaces, let's talk about that. As you will have seen in maybe my Chiang Mai video, I am a big convert now to co-working spaces. Although I like working from home, because I don't have a team physically with me, it's really nice to actually go to a co-working space and be around people. Also helps me focus quite well. Now, there are many, many, many in Lisbon. There is Second Home, which is known for its beautiful plants and displays inside. There is The Base, there is Villa Spaces, and there is Idea Spaces. Now, I used Idea Spaces because they have 4 locations, I think 3 or 4 locations in Lisbon. And when you get membership, you can use any of those locations. The one I used in San Sebastian, which is near my flat, had a roof terrace, which was really nice. And there are a couple that you can choose from. Now, the prices are quite expensive, I would say, for monthly membership. But if you're someone who, like me, will be using a co-working space a lot, it's definitely worth it. And the only thing I would say about Idea is there wasn't much atmosphere. So do your research and think about what you really want to find. It was one of the best value ones I found. And again, the roof terrace really appealed to me and the fact that I could change location. But I wouldn't say it was a super vibey co-working space, whereas some other ones I've been to have a really just nice vibey feel. But it really depends what you like and what you prefer. But if you like co-working spaces, you won't be without choice. And there are loads of cafes too that you can work in as well. But with the cafes, you definitely want to get there early in the morning because a lot of other nomads, expats, remote workers are thinking about doing the same and you may not get a space. So I have spoken about first impressions, community, co-working spaces. Let's talk about the city itself. So the city itself, I mentioned, it's really beautiful. You've got downtown Lisbon, you've got the river, you have got these gorgeous streets, you've got the trams. It's very, very picturesque. It's very pretty. It's very colourful. You can walk a lot within the centre. There are so many restaurants, cafes, brunch places, beautiful shops that you might want to see. It's a really nice city. But I think for me, the stay has been made more special because of the places that I have gone to just outside of Lisbon. So for example, Sintra. Sintra is a very famous, say, royal city that is within about an hour's train journey from Lisbon. You have got beautiful palaces there. There's about 4 or 5 you might want to see. There is the castle, the Moorish castle, which is beautiful. It's a really interesting place, Sintra. You also have Setúbal, which again is quite near to Lisbon. You can get there on the train. This might take you almost maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but it's well worth it. The beaches are gorgeous. A friend of mine said it's like the Maldives because the sand was so white, the water was gorgeous, but it was cold. We did go for a swim and it was cold. So Setúbal, you've got Cascais as well, which is really close to Lisbon, actually, probably about 45 minutes on the train. A nice seaside town destination with beaches as well. You've got Ericeira. I think Ericeira was my favorite place that I visited. We took a car there and that was really, really beautiful. The coastal views were just stunning. So Portugal is gorgeous, and I would say one of the draws about being in Lisbon is at the weekend, if you want to do day trips or weekend trips, you won't be without choice. There are a lot of places you can go to and explore different Portuguese towns, and the sea is really beautiful. Lisbon itself, although it's got the river close by, which obviously is connected to the sea, it doesn't have a beach. So it's really important, well, it was important for me to be able to go to these other places in Portugal. And weather-wise, as I say, when I arrived in February, I was not happy. I remember meeting a Portuguese friend here and being like, okay, I thought Europe was meant to be warm. It started to warm up, I would say, mid-March onwards. So it depends what time of the year you're coming here. But in my first few weeks, I had the heater on. I was wearing a coat, a jumper. I was cold and it rained a bit. And I think this relates to why my first impressions weren't fantastic, because I think the weather has such a big impact on your mood and your impressions of a place. But from mid-March onwards, sun started to come out, started to get warm, and then, April onwards has just been absolutely gorgeous. Occasional rainy day here and there, but overall it's really, really good. And I've been very lucky in that way. And I would say, compared to London, it is very mild temperature-wise. And, when we went to the beach in April, it was, I think it was getting up to about 29 degrees. It felt like summer, which is crazy, and does make me think if you're coming here in July, August, perhaps it may be too hot for you, depending on what your tolerance is. But it really did feel like summer during that time, and even now. So I would say Lisbon it's felt very natural. I would say it hasn't felt massively like a complete difference in city. What I mean by that is, again, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like a London, like a European London. And maybe it's because I'm in the same time zone as well. Maybe it's because everyone here speaks English. Maybe it's because there is the metro, which reminds me of the tube. It's just felt very easy here. Easy to meet people, easy to get to places. I think the thing that's made it really special is also the day trips and the towns that are outside of Lisbon that are absolutely gorgeous. And I would say, if you're a digital nomad, you've got to do Lisbon. It should be on your list. I'm really glad that I've done it. And I actually had a friend who came here to see the city, and she was like, can you move here permanently so I can come and see you? I think it's a great place. I can see why a lot of people move here. I think, as I say, the cost of living has shot up recently, but there's so much to see and do. It's a good place also for if you really want to get in the zone work-wise. I think it's really good for that. As I say, it's got this fantastic entrepreneurial community too. So Lisbon, it's been a slow burn love, but it has definitely taken a piece of my heart, like all the cities have. And I would say, co-working space is great, surroundings, great, city itself, very walkable, very safe. I didn't mention that, but it feels very safe in Lisbon as well. Well connected, community, lots to see. So I would say for thinking about going to Lisbon, do it, try it out, go during spring or summer. I would say spring is the best time because it's not too hot. I would try to avoid January, February because the weather isn't so good, but even so, there's lots to do here. So yeah, that is my take on Lisbon. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like and subscribe. I'm doing a lot of these videos now. It's really nice to check in with you and I really appreciate the support. I will see you here next time.